Hello there, it's another Wednesday night, and I'm here with the Wednesday night news that comes with the extra touch. My Benue friend tells me of a saying which goes, when it is maize season, we talk about maize. Well, it's the season of politics, and so politics we shall talk about, especially the ongoing party primaries across the country. But of course, you know, it's not only politics that is in the air. We just celebrated the country's 58th independence anniversary. I know you wouldn't forget the News Extra team if we don't mention the memorable celebration. You still know that is not all on News Extra tonight. We have stories on human rights, security issues, business stories, and education. Tonight, let's not do a long introduction. It's News Extra, and as usual, sit back and enjoy the stories. I am Fatima Abbas Hassan. Welcome to News Extra. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised the Sharibu family that he will do all in his power to rescue Leah Sharibu from the hands of Boko Haram and bring her home. The president, who spoke to Leah Sharibu's mother, Rebecca, on telephone, said, and I quote, "I convey my emotion, the strong commitment of my administration, and the solidarity of all Nigerians to you and your family as we will do our best to bring your daughter home in peace and safety." End of quote. The president assured the mother that his heart is with her family as that of the entire nation, which continues to pray for her safe return. Now, time and time again, we're told that for any meaningful development to take place, peace must be prevalent. Apparently, this truth is sinking in gradually to the people of the Niger Delta region. That explains why leaders and other key players, including ex-militants there, have resolved to maintain peace and support the federal government in its commitment to develop manpower and infrastructure in the region. This is coming about as the Presidential Amnesty Program has embarked on a creek-to-creek amnesty awareness campaign in Edo and Delta states. Ugo Chukwuka Ona has that report.
The Niger Delta region was more or less a war zone as agitators who were protesting the neglect and underdevelopment of their communities were battling with the federal government and multinational oil and gas companies operating in the region. To address this, the federal government, under the administration of the late President Umar Musa Yar'Adua, in June 2009, initiated the Presidential Amnesty Program and proclaimed unconditional pardon for over 30,000 agitators in the region implemented under the scheme, and this has led to peace in the region. To sustain this, the convergence of these key players at this town hall meeting became imperative. Spokesmen expressed their willingness to sustain the achievements recorded so far.
We will not cause any destruction. We will give this government peace.
For some prompt payment he has been making, at least I think he needs some accolade for that.
We are ready to work on Buhari in 2019.
Buhari government, know the try.
While assuring the people that their demands would be considered, the coordinator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Professor Charles Dokubo, represented by Special Assistant on Political Matters, Chief Lucky Loibo, urged the people of the region to give President Muhammadu Buhari and the Amnesty Office total support for more dividends of democracy.
The Buhari government to amnesty is a success story. With the support of Buhari, amnesty has been able to, there's an increase in oil production.
We are not just there in Abuja, we have to relate with you even at the grassroots level.
The theme for the Creek-to-Creek Amnesty Awareness Campaign is need for sustaining lasting peace, development, stability, and showcasing the activities and achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari and the Amnesty Office of the Niger Delta region.
In the meantime, more support groups have continued to give reasons why President Muhammadu Buhari should be re-elected in 2019. The latest is the Niger Delta Youth, Women and Security Movement for Buhari Oshibajo, which acknowledged the achievements of the APC-led government in the last 3 years. Political correspondent Salihu Abdullahi completes the report.
These are members of the Buhari support group from across the 9 states of the Niger Delta. Their consciousness to uphold and demonstrate the passion and ensure continuity in governance through adequate.
Wants to do anything, he comes out to do it.
Beyond this show of support, stakeholders urged members of the group to be ambassadors of President Buhari and his endeavor towards a better Nigeria. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And as politicians are jostling and employing all manner of antics to secure tickets for the 2019 general elections, I know of somebody who is sitting pretty cool, just waiting for his swearing-in ceremony. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. If you say it is the Osun governor-elect, Gboyega Oyetola, you're correct. After all, INEC has just issued him and the deputy governor-elect, Benedict Alabi, the certificate of return in Osogbo, the state capital. Correspondent Tope Alabi tells us about that.
That was the supervising national commissioner. His deputy, the resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Olusegun Agbaje, said the just concluded Osun governorship election had its challenges ranging from desperate attitude of politicians, negative trances that overrated the polity and use of armed thugs which were dealt with by security agencies.
Let me once again reassure all stakeholders in the nation's electoral process that the present INEC, under the leadership of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will never do anything that will alter the gains it has so far achieved in terms of credibility.
The commission, he said, was indeed humbled by the outcome of the election, which he said had received commendation from stakeholders. The governor-elect, Alhaji Adegboyega Oyetola, speaks.
We are going to work together to ensure that we justify the confidence that people have given to us. It's a mandate, it's a sacred mandate, and I cherish the law.
While reiterating the commitment of the electoral umpire to consider all reports concerning the election, INEC said political parties are free to challenge the outcome at election tribunal. In Osogbo, Tope Alabi, NTA News.
Well, for politicians who are jostling for tickets to represent their people at various levels, we can all see it has not been easy sailing. Even sitting governors and members of the National Assembly are not guaranteed any free passage. So you can understand the joy of the Bauchi State Governor, Muhammad Abdullahi Abubakar, who has just passed the hurdle of the primary on the APC platform. It's no wonder he is dedicating the victory to God and calling on other aspirants and party faithful to join hands with him for the overall success of the party in the state. Adamu Haruna completes that report.
Governor Muhammad Abubakar, while reacting to the declaration, said the victory is from God, not as a result of his strategy or efforts. He, however, appealed to other contenders to come together for the good of the party in the state and thanked all other APC supporters for their contributions.
All of them realized that since the commitment is towards the development and the well-being of Bauchi State, now you may be able to do it at a later date.
Governor Abubakar also refuted allegations of intimidation leveled against him by other contenders. In Bauchi, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA News.
Well, the much talked about beauty of democracy, where every individual is given the opportunity to exercise his or her right of choice, came to the fore when Professor Babagana Umara Zulmun, earlier endorsed by Governor Kashim Shettima but rejected by other aspirants, emerged victorious at the primary held in Maiduguri, the state capital. Abubakar Mohammed Musa reports that, interestingly, before the election, 10 of the 20 aspirants stepped down for him.
All Progressives Congress delegates from the 27 local government areas of Borno State and critical stakeholders of the party, as well as officials from the APC National Secretariat, gathered at El Kanemi Warrior Sports Center, Maiduguri, venue of the indirect governorship primary election, which started late in the evening last Sunday. The exercise can best be described as orderly and the most peaceful in recent years. Governor Kashim Shettima and other critical stakeholders of APC in Borno State said the leadership of the party has provided a level playing ground to all governorship aspirants in the state. After compilation of the total votes cast, former Commissioner for Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, emerged overall winner with 4,432 votes, followed by Idris Durkwa with 114 votes, Kashim Ibrahim Imam with 20 votes, and Gambolawan 2 votes. Mustafa Baba Shauri, Ambassador Baba Ahmed Jidda, and Atom Magra got 1 vote each. Those without votes are Umar Alkali Nasko, Abba Jato, and Barrister Muhammad Kumalia. Babagana Umar Zulum, in an acceptance remark, expressed gratitude to members of APC in the state for providing an enabling environment for governorship aspirants and assured to consolidate major achievements recorded by the present administration of Governor Kashim Shettima. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Muhammad Musa, NTA News.
And from Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, we take you to Lagos, where Babajide Sanwo-Olu has been declared winner of this All Progressives Congress governorship primary held in the state. The chairman of the Lagos APC Governorship Primary Committee, Clement Ebri, announced the results at a media briefing.
And work for the success of our dear party.
Earlier, chairman of the Lagos State Governorship Primary Committee, Clement Ebri, released the official result.
Babajide Sanwo-Olu scored 970,851 votes. Following these results, I, Clement Ebri, the chairman of the Lagos State APC Governorship Primary Committee, hereby declare Babajide Sanwo-Olu as the winner.
Lagos State APC chairman Babatunde Balogun commended the party members in Lagos for their conduct during the primary.
APC members in Lagos State showed a lesson, showed example to the whole country. We conducted the elections in 245 wards, and there was no single incidence of violence.
The party chairman, however, says the senatorial primaries could not be conducted today because the electoral materials had not been received. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
And still remaining with the party primaries, the Niger State Governor, Abubakar Sani Bello, has been formally announced as the duly returned candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the state. Chairman, Niger State APC Governorship Primary Election, Lucky Imason, made this known to newsmen at the conclusion of the direct primary election. Dauda Mohammed was there and now reports.
The chairman of the All Progressives Congress governorship primary election in Niger State and a former deputy governor of Edo State, Lucky Imason, said though the incumbent governor Abubakar Sani Bello was unopposed in the primary, he polled 150,839 votes from members of the party.
By the authority vested in me as the chairman of the All Progressive Congress 2018 governorship primary election held here in Niger State, 30th of September 2018, declare His Excellency Abubakar Sani Bello as returned unopposed with the number of votes earlier announced.
The chairman of the 9-member APC governorship primary election also commended the conduct of the party members during the process. Also speaking, Niger State APC chairman Jibril Imam, while expressing his satisfaction with the process, added that the party is now poised to sweep away other parties in the state during the upcoming general elections. The All Progressives Congress in Niger State has over 300,000 registered members. In Mina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
And a serving member of the House of Representatives, Adekule Akilade, representing Yewa South, Ikpokia Federal Constituency, has clinched the APC governorship ticket for Ogun State. The APC chairman in the state, Daring Adebi, who announced the results of the primary held on Tuesday, said Akilade polled 190,987 votes to beat 5 other aspirants. Ahead of its national convention, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has debunked the rumor that the National Working Committee is in support of a particular presidential aspirant. Our correspondent, Timothy Yusuf, completes the report.
National Publicity Secretary of the PDP maintains that 13 presidential aspirants will slug it out at the National Convention, slated for Port Harcourt this weekend on a level playing ground. The party says it has internal mechanism in place to handle all post-convention conflicts.
But we are very concerned about the process of this national convention. On the electoral committee, each of the aspirants will nominate 2 of their supporters to be part of the electoral committee. The essence of this is to showcase the transparency.
The Social Democratic Party, SDP, in a similar development, says 4,500 delegates will participate in the party's national convention this weekend in Abuja.
4 major decisions will be taken, namely, A, ratification of the amended constitution of the party, B, approval of a new party logo and manifesto, C, ratification of new executive committee members, and D, the election of the presidential candidate of the party.
5 presidential aspirants are expected to slug it out at the party's national convention in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says he will soon bring all speculations to an end by naming a presidential campaign council to lead the All Progressives Congress APC to victory in the February 2019 general elections. A statement by the senior special assistant to the president, Garba Shehu, indicates that the president appreciates the growing interest that Nigerians have shown in this issue, and he is conscious of their keen expectation. For now, the president and the party executives are focused on the APC convention scheduled for Saturday, the 6th of October. In a separate development, Ambassador Ahmed Shuaibu has emerged victorious at the governorship primary of the new Nigeria People's Party in Bauchi State.
The chairman of the Electoral Committee, Professor Muhammad Kabir, said the final result was the outcome of submissions by the returning officers from all the 20 local government areas of the state.
A total of 224 votes. I hereby declare that Ambassador Ahmed Adamu is declared the winner.
The winner, Ambassador Ahmed Shaibu, a former secretary to the state government and one-time commissioner, expressed the hope that the people of Bauchi will vote for NNPP during the forthcoming general election in the country.
The burden has been laid on me to try and see how we can rescue our state from the hardship that our people are facing. This is what the party, the Nigeria People's Party, came to Bauchi to do.
This is the first time NNPP is contesting for governorship seat in the state. In Bauchi, Abbas Mekano, NTA News.
While parties are conducting their primaries, the political umpire INEC is preparing for the elections. It says it will no longer be business as usual for miscreants who indulge in ballot snatching, vote buying, and other electoral offences during the elections. This is because INEC says it has put in place a process for effective prosecution of electoral offenders. To bark and bite, the Commission is training its legal officers and police personnel in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Maureen Leo Ajam has that story.
After the 2011 general elections, about 870,000 cases of multiple registration and other electoral offences, including snatching of ballot boxes, vote buying, and other practices which disrupt electoral process, have been recorded. To reduce these to the barest in the forthcoming general elections, the legal officers of INEC as well as other security operatives saddled with the responsibility of prosecuting electoral offenders were exposed to the nitty-gritty of prosecuting electoral offenders.
Some of the cases that we have been seeing of electoral fraud
and offenses will be addressed, by a separate body that will be fully staffed and funded to do exactly, to address exactly the issue of electoral offenses.
Participants at the training sued for improved synergy among the police officers and the INEC legal officials in order to render legal services that will deliver fair and credible elections in 2019 election and beyond.
When people, are brazen and they engage in such impunity, and you don't prosecute them, then it gives a sort of leverage and encouragement to others to also commit crime.
The training is also aimed at spelling out clearly the legal mechanisms for prosecution of electoral offenders. In Calabar, Maureen Leo Ajom, NTA News.
Power, the 5-letter word that has generated interesting discussions among Nigerians. What more is the federal government doing in this sector? Our correspondent on special assignment tells us more after the break. Join us again.
Some have sense and cannot think. Some can think but have no sense. Ah! Sister, good morning. I have everything. Can you come to my house? Beautiful. She's using my Kumago to take my customer. Totally. We'll do something. 50% discount. Hey! Thank you. Madam!
Please come inside.
Shut up your mouth!
So you don't know that with low or gas sim, you can upload your market and get as many customers as you want?
You useless! I said, "Come on, if you do where you come, you get credit. Stand up.
With Glow or Gas Sim, enjoy 125% more data to get.
Some have sense and cannot think. Some can think but have no sense.
How did I get here? It all started shortly after I graduated from MSTC, the Model Skills Training Center with a certificate in ICT. I successfully developed a data management program that has been called the software of the future. Thanks to its success, everyone wants it. And as you can see, now everyone wants me. But I'm not alone. The skills training programs at MSTC are equipping young Nigerians to become the next big success story. Whether it's ICT, mechatronics, facility technology, electronics and computer networking, or culinary studies, a certificate at MSTC is the way of the future. And just like me,
there he is.
Everyone will want you to.
ITF, developing the nation's human resource.
Hello. Hi, Jenny. Can you supply 1,000 bottles of juice by noon? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, bye. Hello?
One day, I go any store and say I want everything.
Jenny, Auntie, please, I need a loan.
One day, anything I want, hurry up. Get it times 2. Someday, I'll be living like a dream. Carry me lower. Because I'm not getting money, you downgrade me. Carry me lower.
Your order is on the way.
Are you an entrepreneur looking for financing to grow your business? I have good news for you. Development Bank of Nigeria now provides sustainable financing through commercial banks, microfinance banks, and other financial institutions with repayment terms of up to 10 years. Please do remember, paying back your loan in good time will give you access to more loans.
Development Bank of Nigeria, financing sustainable growth.
What's inside this beautiful house? Inside, there is a very beautiful family. And in this family, there is a lot of love. And inside this love, there's Alpenliebe. And in the center of Alpenliebe, there is a feeling made with rich milk and creamy caramel. Alpenliebe, the milk-filled candy that warms your heart with love. Alpenliebe, bring hearts closer.
All right, kids, today you're all going to tell me how you all spent your holidays. So the essay will be... Who did that? Who did that?
excitement of the new school session with great tasting Indomie noodles. Hurry now and get yours. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
You're welcome back. It's good to know that you're out there watching News Extra tonight. Now let's talk about Nigeria's independence. In spite of several challenges of nationhood, Nigerians see a bright future. A future guests on Tuesday Live say can only become a reality if everyone works in unison for the greater good of all. Joseph Johnson reports that the guests were deliberating on the topic Nigeria at 58, the journey so far.
Picture a 58-year-old man through the eyes of the younger generation and juxtapose it with Nigeria. It would seem like a grown nation. But comparatively, the country is set to be a growing baby. A baby many say is stunted by lack of team spirit, selflessness and political will. Describing the journey of 58 years as draggy, the guests on Tuesday Live expressed the belief that whereas the past contributed to the sluggish growth of the nation, the future of Nigeria remains promising. As such, should be given more attention.
Well, genuinely, for people of my generation and the hopes which were entertained in 1960, not just by Nigerians, but by the world, we have not performed as well as we should.
It did not create the crisis of confidence and the conflicts that are going on all over the place. I think that those crises have been brought about because the failure of the Nigerian government to further good governance as spelled out in Chapter 2 of our Constitution.
Whether you restructured Nigeria into 100 states or into 6 zones or 8 zones, if the idea of going into politics is to go and loot and become a member of Forbes list of rich men, we get nowhere.
There has to be a shared national vision which everybody in the system must commit to.
In the midst of all the challenges, somewhat slowing down the progression of nation building, there are indications that with the Buhari administration's drive towards switching Nigeria's journey tracks, the country may yet not only strive for the best, but will thrive in the long run. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
The journey of Nigeria at 58 has been with some hurdles, but quality leadership per term can translate the fortunes of the country. This was the consensus of guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria as they x-rayed the economic perspective of Nigeria at 58. Attitudinal consciousness by both government and the people, they also suggest, is paramount in the development of the nation. Patricia Isani-Luba has the details.
Many people have different projections about how a country can achieve greatness. But a common opinion among development economists is that perseverance is one of the attributes of great nations. In other words, ability to be steadfast in pursuing one's goals despite challenges make a nation strong. Specifically, economic experts have predicted that Nigeria has what it takes to achieve the greatness that she desires.
Coupled with the fact that we have an economic planning policy that is consistent with the realities of that time and peacefully implemented by all actors.
There was also a culture of planning. The first development plan was 1962 to 1968. I've studied it in material detail. There were top Harvard economists who came, worked with the Nigerian economists in designing that plan.
Now, with the advent of WTO and rule-based systems and tightening up of quality assurance and quality conformity assessment requirements, quality infrastructure is required for us to play as hard as we played in the 60s.
At independence in 1960, agriculture was the mainstay of the nation's economy, providing the largest foreign exchange between 1970s and the 1980s. Oil accounted for nearly 87% of exports. Since then, the country has been grappling with challenges associated with oil and other development issues. Speaking against this background, guests on Good Morning Nigeria say, Nigeria can achieve much more if Nigerians can change the negative perception. On his part, Nazif Dharma and Obadiah Mailafia harped on strategy and privatization.
The country needs a sustained planning culture. Now, let us institutionalize it in such a way that if you have that law, whosoever come, he cannot be able to do anything outside that planning.
It should be agro-allied, it should be linked, agriculture generating surplus from the rural area, feeding into the urban industrial manufacturing sector.
The guests are optimistic that attitudinal change and perception will make the difference. In Abuja, Patricia A. Samiluba, NTA News.
Now, one of the most talked about key component for economic growth and development in Nigeria is the power sector. Well, this is no doubt understandable. Without going back on its promises, the Buhari administration is addressing fundamental challenges with the implementation of programs and policies aimed at improving the sector. Hamza Musa Makarfi, who has been following the developments, now reports.
For these business owners, the test of electricity is entirely dependent on efficient and uninterrupted supply. On a larger scale, this need makes the difference towards stimulating.
We're sorry about that. Now, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says government is committed to the promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria. The Attorney General stated this in a message to the Northwest consultation on the Nation Action Plan held in Kaduna. Haman Jabani was there.
The National Action Plan for the Promotion and Protection of Human Rights in Nigeria, which is for a period of 4 years on a short run and 10 years in the long run, is an audit of human rights situation in Nigeria with a view to identifying areas that need improvement. In his message, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, said the consultation on the National Action Plan has become imperative in view of the Buhari administration's respect for the rule of law, democracy, and human rights.
Your contribution to this document today will contribute in no small measure in setting a defined human rights agenda for Nigeria for the next couple of years.
Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Tony Ojukwu, said the consultation was an opportunity to strengthen the synergy among key players and promote respect for human rights.
It's one of the strategies which is meant at holding accountable those who violate human rights, to make sure that we put measures in place to make sure there's progressive improvement in human rights.
There were presentations on the rights of women, child and young persons, civil and political rights, business and human rights, among others, at the forum. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army says it will continue to dominate ungoverned forests and smoke out criminals taking refuge in such places across the country. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, said this in a message at a battle inoculation for recruits of the Nigerian Army in Falgore Forest, Kano. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa witnessed the event.
Falgore Forest is a vast ungoverned space that spans through Kano, Bauchi, Zamfara,
and the Sambisa Forest in Borno State. Unlike the dreaded Sambisa Forest, Falgore is devoid of mines, but a safe haven for criminals. This is Falgore Forest in Kano State, a vast ecosystem that provides safe haven for criminals. In 2017, the Nigerian army chased away criminals from the forest and converted the ground to a training field. This military inoculation is designed to expose the 77 regular intake of the Nigerian army to real-time patrol, attack, withdrawal, multiple military tactics, and the counter-insurgency operation for the asymmetric warfare in the northeast. The training is also critical in the quest to kill the fear for battle in these recruits before the real battle. Addressing the 3,984 recruits for the year 2017, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, charged them to remain responsive and disciplined after their graduation.
Let me warn that the Army High Command will not tolerate any act of cowardice in the face of adversary threat from any of you.
The Speaker, House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara, represented by the Chief Whip, promised to ensure adequate funding for army operations.
With what they are doing here, especially when I've seen how their trainees are undergoing and what other officials are going through, one can rightly say that no amount of resources will be too much for this organization.
The event featured a medical outreach for the people of Falgore community. From Falgore Forest in Kano State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And from Jos, the Plateau State capital, we are told that relative calm is gradually returning to the capital city after the weekend disturbances that led to the imposition of curfew in the metropolis. Caleb Guching has an update.
Drive round the metropolis showed that business activities are gradually picking up. Our findings revealed that contrary to the stories we got in regards to the terminus area, shops were opened with owners in clusters, possibly discussing the happenings. Banks were also opened for business with ATM points witnessing few customers. Other areas visited were Old Bukru Park, Bauchi Road, Masalachin Juma Street, among others. Peace seems to be the recurring dismal on the lips of the people.
To give peace a chance. If we continue like this, hunger is going to wipe all of us out.
I want our leaders to make these people not to cause this thing again.
NTA News also confirmed reliably that calm has also returned to most of the areas placed under the sit-at-home order. Meanwhile, Governor Lalong, who visited the areas affected in the disturbances, has called for calm, urging citizens to avoid taking the law into their hands. The governor, who also visited victims of the crisis on admission at the Bingham University Teaching Hospital and University of Jos, said government will deal decisively with perpetrators.
Anybody we find behind it is going to be thoroughly investigated and also prosecuted.
In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Abi? There is something strange and sinister going on in a village just at the outskirts of the Abuja city center. There is an unknown eye infection that is causing blindness, especially among children. The community is known as Ruga, and the residents are asking government to rescue them before they all go blind. Patricia Philip Bedai visited the community, and this is what she brought back.
Ruga, a remote settlement located along the airport road, Abuja, has a growing population of about 10,000 people who are mostly farmers and traders. They have a number of life challenges, ranging from lack of adequate education and social amenities. Most pressing of the needs this time is the urgent need to address a yet to be identified disease that is causing blindness, especially among the children, though some members of the community have attributed the disease to poor sanitation and possibly the source of water. According to the residents of the community, more than 15 children are going blind due to the unknown eye infection. According to the residents of this community, this is the major water supply that is serving Ruga community.
We noticed some with scabies, and we also noticed some that has things coming out from their eyes. Apart from the blindness we are talking about, there's other skin problems that we notice in these children.
A lot of problems because of this water. Like me, if I brought it, I will even find a treatment to treat it. But even right now, our people doesn't care about that one. They don't have education on that one.
They are calling on relevant authorities to look into their plight and alleviate their sufferings.
With the condition of these children, it will be difficult for them or for us to achieve what we want in the area of education and the life of these children.
Meanwhile, the Acting Secretary, Health and Human Services Secretariat, Dr. Aminu Mohammed Mai, while briefing the media after a team of medical experts visited the community, says there is no evidence of an outbreak, but a case of an allergy that causes the eye and skin diseases among the children.
It's not an outbreak. It is allergic conjunctivitis. The eyes are reacting to something in the environment. So if the eyes get swollen, they get red, it brings out fluids, you know, and the treatment is very easy, and they've been providing that treatment. What we need to do is to focus on what is the reason for the allergy.
He, however, assures that the ICT administration will look into the issue of potable water in the community. In Abuja, Patricia Philip Bedai, NTA News.
Thank you, Patricia. The Ruga community situation really calls for urgent attention. Now, all is set for the 6th Triennial Delegates Conference of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, scheduled to hold in Abuja from Thursday, the 4th of October to Saturday, the 6th. Shagu Lawali reports that 908 delegates are expected to participate.
The NUJ Press Center at Okelewo, Abeokuta is already playing host to delegates from across the country for the 6th Triennial NUJ Delegate Conference, expected to produce the next #1 journalist in Nigeria and other national executive members. With 908 delegates accredited, 33 candidates are taking a shot at available elective positions.
As far as the Electoral Committee is concerned, we have given assurance that there will be credible process. So let us ensure that we give this process a chance. Whoever emerges is part of us. We embrace him and move on. 6
candidates are jostling for the seat of the president, including Dele Atubi of NTA headquarters.
It is important that we should tell ourselves the bitter truth that in this delegate conference, many things will come up, especially the way to advance the cause of journalists in this country and the way to make the NUJ great again.
The incumbent president, who is also seeking a second term in office, explained the choice of the theme of this year's conference, which is Media, Hate Speeches and 2019 General Elections in Nigeria.
We believe we should stem that thing now before it goes out of hand. And that's why we want to focus attention on it and to enjoin journalists to be wary of people who want to use journalism and journalists to propagate hate speech and thereby causing a crisis and trouble in the polity.
As part of his consultations, Comrade Dele Atubi visited some of the veteran journalists in Abeokuta to pay respect to them while seeking their counsel. In Abeokuta, Shegun Lawale, NTA News.
Many thanks, Shegun. Now, do you know that anything and everything is possible if you give it a try? Well, not sounding religious. Stay tuned as News Extra returns with a report of the creativity and integrity of Nigerians. That's after the break when we return.
Hello, Niger. It's a beautiful day.
And now it's time for some amazing music.
Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Where is it?
What are you searching for? With Glow Yakata, for every recharge, they'll give you 22 times the amount to call all the networks.
What? So if I load 100 naira, they will give me 2,200 naira?
Exactly! And that's not all. They are also giving up to 6 gigabytes of data every month for 6 whole months.
Wow! That's incredible!
Yes!
Are you sure? 22 times on every recharge?
Yup.
Found it! Found it! That's it!
Blow Yakata. Get up to 6 gigabytes of data every month for 6 months and 2,200 naira bonus for every 100 naira recharge. The call all networks where talkers and browsers live.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
You in the air-conditioned office with the itchy throat. Strepsils. Girl in the spotlight with the raspy throat. Strepsils. You in the pollution. It's you. Dry throat. Strepsils. Hello in the downpour with the scratchy throat. Take Strepsils. Strepsils, with its soothing medicinal ingredients, will heal the harm done to your throat from external factors. Strepsils. Strepsils. Strepsils, for a dry, itchy, raspy, scratchy throat.
Winning in hot and dry conditions is hard. Causes the body to sweat, which attracts germs that are easily passed from one person to another. What keeps you so cool, man? Dettol Cool combines Dettol's protection and an invincible icy feel. For super cool confidence, use Dettol Cool.
Dettol soap is now also available for 100 naira only.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Taiyi suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around, or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
In Nigeria, there is one sound we need to silence. So let's silence toothache before it starts with Oral-B All-Round Protection. Its advanced technology helps prevent both tooth holes and gum problems that can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your teeth, giving them all-round protection. Because the only sound we really want to hear is that of our future. For healthier, stronger teeth in 1 week.
We're glad to have you back with us on News Extra. And we now take you back to our earlier story on power, in which we said that in line with its promises, the Buhari administration is addressing fundamental challenges within the power sector with the implementation of programs and policies aimed at improving that sector. Hamza Musa Makarfi, who has been following the development, now brings us up to date.
For these business owners, the test of electricity is entirely dependent on efficient and uninterrupted supply. On a larger scale, this need makes the difference towards stimulating the economy and well-being of the people. And so, with resources and committed people, the Buhari administration has gone to work in the power sector to unravel the challenges and mitigate the effects for economic growth and development.
Understand also that policies take time to have effect.
Guided by an approved sector recovery programs, more projects have either been completed or ongoing in parts of the country across transmission and distribution assets. Similarly, government has approved 701 billion naira as payment assurance guarantee to enable generation companies address funding gaps arising from the volatility of the electricity market.
So it was very proactive, so we are now able to pay the gas companies.
We have stabilized the grid and achieved certain frequency. We have attracted the largest investment in transmission that has never been attracted before, $1.57 billion, and we are implementing a transmission expansion program that's seeking to put N-1 capacity all over the country.
Government is working on the completion of Dadin-Kowa, Zingeru, Kashimbila, and Gurara hydropower plants. Similarly, concession has been approved to the private sector for 6 abandoned dams to build operate and transfer.
The most important thing is that there is still excitement about the opportunities in Nigeria, and foreign investors are willing to come and invest in the power sector.
But there is a greater prospect for the construction of the 3,050 megawatts Mambila hydroelectricity project.
It's quite the biggest initiative and support that any government has shown for power projects in Nigeria.
In order to secure the support of the states in driving changes in the power sector, a number of action plans on investment opportunities and guidelines, renewables and energy efficiency have been put forward.
It will encourage industrial development. It will encourage commercial activities.
While it is work in progress, stakeholders say there are challenges, including poor network, metering, estimated billing, losses in revenue collection and remittance at the distribution value chain.
Yesterday, we don't get light, and today we get light.
As Nigerians continue to seek for a better deal, distribution companies who have reported a burden of 1.3 trillion naira on their financial books arising from tariff gaps in the system are also demanding stakeholders to pay for what they consume to keep the sector working. From Lafia, Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
With about 20 months of import cover in foreign reserves, which is above the international standard, the Central Bank of Nigeria has dismissed any panic in Nigeria's financial system. Governor of the Apex Bank announced this at the ongoing Abuja International Trade Fair. Vivian Idepefo has more on that.
The special day at the fair provided an opportunity for the public to receive first-hand information and clarification on areas of concern and current financial status of the country, especially as it regards accessing support for export by micro, small and medium enterprises. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele, represented by the Director Corporate Communication, Isaac Okorafor, explained that the global squeeze on emerging markets driven by interest rate hike in the United States has not negatively affected Nigeria due to adequate buffer to defend the naira. The CBN reiterated its commitment to economic diversification and national food sufficiency in its regulatory role to promote financial intermediation and inclusion.
We want to assure you that we will continue to do our best to ensure that all those who need financing to be able to produce and make our economy grow will receive finance. In the area of development finance, CBN has ensured the supply of finance to various sectors of the economy, which has promoted the growth of the economy in a holistic manner, making development, welfare improvement to proceed at a faster rate.
Apart from intervention schemes for the development of micro, small and medium enterprises, the CBN cleared the air on Polaris Bank, which it says has fully complied with regulations guiding commercial banks in Nigeria. In Abuja, Vivian Idepefo, NTA News.
Well, self-reliance is said to be the best way to get independence. In these days of dearth of white-collar jobs, it is always heartwarming to come across youths who are thinking of being their bosses instead of waiting endlessly for a government job. It is even more heartwarming when you come across those whose mindsets are geared towards self-reliance. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday met one of such young Nigerians at the Abuja Trade Center.
A greater population of Nigerians are youths, and the rate at which universities and other institutions turn out graduates is obviously far higher than the available job opportunities. The presence of this crowd watching the display of the prototype machine built by the young inventor Ismaila Surajo also attracted the attention of NTA News.
Ismaila Surajo is 22 years old. He did not attend any higher institution in Nigeria or outside the country, but he's been able to design and construct this mini tractor block molding machine, grader, excavator, and even a dump truck. Ismaila, can you tell me how you came about the design and construction of this equipment?
And I designed one car with carton as a craft. My friend asked, let me do it for them. And I did it for them, then I bought it 20 naira. From there I said, wow, with this idea I can make money.
If supported, Ismaila said he has what it takes to commercialize his products.
I'm ready to help others, to share it with my friend in Nigeria. We Nigerian, I'm ready to share for them, to share my talent that God has given to me.
In line with the present administration's economic diversification policy, especially in agriculture, President, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Adetokunbo Kayode, who discovered Ismaila, decided to be his mentor.
The Minister talked about food processing standardization. We hand it over to him. He will think about what to do and will help us to standardize, help us to preserve, help us to package, help us to make our agriculture a value chain.
Adetokunbo Kayode also spoke on youth unemployment, which over the years has been affecting the economy and also creating the avenue for exploitation of idle youths by some selfish people.
Because of life and opportunity, you want to take the easiest way by learning yourself as a muscle and a talk. But the truth is that everyone has a little talent.
The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP, has its mandate to promote locally generated technology and intellectual property.
Inventors who have a protected invention can actually license the inventions to will be investors. For instance, they can license it. That is not selling it outrightly. They can license it and be collecting royalty from the licensees. But no licensee will be ready to take up any license of an invention that is not patented, because they will not be sure of the commercial viability.
Ismaila Surajo has indeed showed that the best place to find a helping hand is at the center of one's palm. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Have you ever wondered what the hospitality industry in Nigeria would look like if more than 80% of materials for construction and furnishing from start to finish are locally sourced? Well, for an answer, just visit the redefined Hawthorne Suites, Abuja by Wyndham. Olayinka Ojo was at the pre-opening media briefing of this international standard hotel in Abuja.
Nigeria is set to join the list of countries to enjoy hospitality at its best, as the Hawthorne Suites by Wyndham, a part of the Wyndham Hotels and Resorts with chain based in the United States, opens its first in West Africa this weekend. The group is one of the world's largest and most diverse hotel companies, having approximately 9,000 and more than 600,000 rooms in 66 countries. General Manager, Hawthorne Suites Abuja by Wyndham, Amin Saad says, with 108 suites, the hotel is giving a new face to the industry as it has all facilities customers need with extra largesse.
The rooms featured include wet bars, expanded cable television, and upgraded bedding featuring signature suite bedding experience.
Whenever you stay at Hawthorne Suites, your records are on our database. And if you get to a certain level, you'll be able to achieve a complimentary room night.
The good thing about the hotel industry is for every one person that you employ, you also employ others vis-a-vis the supplies that you buy, the maintenance, the equipment, things like that.
Located in the heart of the capital city, the hotel boasts of arrays of luxurious furnished suites having gone through rebranding. Its grand official opening is slated for this weekend. In Abuja, Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Has the federal government increased tuition fees in federal universities? Plus, outcome of an unscheduled visit by a correspondent to a school in Makoko. Stay tuned as News Extra brings the reports of a tale of two sides of the coin.
When it comes to 30,000 naira, 30,000 naira to somebody is 1 million naira.
I just applied online. I did not know anybody.
I'm under carpenting. I was given saw, bar, tenon saw, hammer.
Federal government is able to mobilize me by giving me one iPad to aid me in carrying out my exercise.
So the money that was given to me, I was able to establish some little farm, and this building we are standing on.
I also have goats that I train.
But with the exception of the Empower, I've been able to do some little contribution that have actually helped me to put the money together and been able to service people.
My thanks goes to the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for this thing that he has done for the youth of Nigeria. So we are grateful.
Madam. Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three people.
You are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah?
Welcome.
You take that one. You take that one.
You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have? You don't have?
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're on to News Extra, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. An approach to enable government provides social amenities to cater for unaccounted children is underway in Nigeria through UNICEF's intervention. Our correspondent Uche Ugochukwu reports that the move is to enable proper planning and budgeting for children under 5.
These are visibly happy pupils in a school in Abuja. The school authority has their names, ages and other vital information as their pupils. But then, research shows that governments may not be privy to their data due to the fact that 70% of Nigerian children are not registered at birth.
The importance of knowing the age of a child is for us to be able to fix the child in the right class. So that is the area where the birth certificate works.
Naturally, this situation has made planning for social amenities difficult. This scenario is more pronounced in rural areas where records are virtually non-existent. Tradition, ignorance, and inadequate birth registration personnel are other factors said to be responsible for low registration of children at birth.
The DHS data as we have in Nigeria today shows that 30% of under 5 children are registered, meaning that if we are giving birth to 100 children, we're only registering 30 of them. And this is not good enough for national planning.
The partnership between UNICEF and the Federal Child Rights Information Bureau is aimed at improving the narrative.
There's going to be a renewed collaboration with the health centers so that we will train some of their personnel that will be engaged in birth registration.
Until then, pupils such as this will continue to be seen, but without identity, rights, nor a future with expected benefits of citizenship due to lack of birth registration. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Knowledge has always been the main factor driving the human race, as every advancement in history is propelled by knowledge. It is therefore not surprising or a misplaced priority that the Nigerian Navy has established the Admiralty University to cater for the needs of its personnel and the public at large. Olajide Bello tells us about this citadel of learning.
The Navy is synonymous with water, especially large bodies like oceans and seas. Occasionally, the Navy drop the paddle and walk on land, but then that is only temporary. Little wonder, then few eyebrows were raised when the Nigerian Navy established Admiralty University, a citadel of learning that is now in full operation in Delta State.
The Navy at the time was looking for an opportunity where a lot of the facilities that it has, a lot of educational facilities that it has, whether those are schools or colleges or professional schools, they wanted to bring them, elevate what they were doing to a diploma level, to a degree level. And I think that vision of how the different educational activities of the Nigerian Navy, could be brought under one umbrella, this is what started the idea of the Admiralty University of Nigeria.
The Navy, however, feels it has a corporate social responsibility to give back to the society.
If you talk about programs we have like cybersecurity, forensic science, these are courses, these are fields that will define our future tomorrow, even starting today. These are the areas that we define jobs and business opportunities for tomorrow. And we're offering the programs right here.
The other one, it has internationalization, very, very high on its agenda. So students can start with Admiralty University but can finish their degree abroad. Or they can transfer from abroad to the Admiralty University and continue and finish their degree.
The partnership with foreign universities is expected to make the Admiralty University a top institution in the near future. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
The federal government has denied any increase in the tuition fees charged by federal universities or any tertiary institution funded from the Federation account. A statement released by Ben Bem Gun, Deputy Director and Head of Press, Federal Ministry of Education, a reaction to the stories making the rounds that government is planning an increase of 350,000 naira in university fees. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sonny Echano, emphatically denied the claim. The Permanent Secretary said apart from lacking in merit and logic, it is strange and curious that the story is coming at a time government is investing heavily in the school feeding program designed to bring more children on board the ship of education sector. He asked all well-meaning Nigerians to disregard the story in its entirety. Education is one of the fundamental rights of the Nigerian child. While many children have access to education, facilities provided by the government or private school properties, others are not so lucky to have such facilities within proximity. Jane Ojukwu takes a look at the Makoko slum kids, a suburb of Yaba, Lagos, and their efforts to acquire Western education.
They are Nigerian children. They live in Makoko, a slum in Yaba Local Council Development Area of Lagos State. Many of them live in some of these makeshift shanty structures on top of the lagoon. Due to the environmental terrain of the Makoko slum, the only nursery and primary school built by the government is this facility, housing Makoko Anglican Primary School, Adekunle Anglican Primary School, and Ayetoro Anglican Church Primary School, all located some kilometers from the lagoon area. Sheki Okpeyemi is a primary 4 pupil of Makoko Anglican Primary School. She lives in one of the shanties and travels by boat daily to get to school.
How to do that? I come to school by boat.
But thousands of other children of school age in Makoko slum are not yet this lucky in pursuing their educational dreams.
Most of our students, when they got out, some are making accident by machine, by this motor vehicle. So, and also that we need school here in our community here.
We need the government to build a good school for us so that we cannot be taking boats to be going to school. The school that we close to our house.
Medinat Adedeji is the head teacher of Adekunle Anglican Primary School.
If the population of about 1,141 pupils, but the teachers are not sufficient.
She said the school has the capacity to accommodate more kids if only its challenges, which include inadequate teachers, are addressed.
So even communicate with them it's really a big problem. You speak in English, they'll be looking at you. You speak in Yoruba, they'll be looking at you. But as time goes on, they started catching up.
Ida Benjamin Moses was born and brought up in Makoko. Concerned by the challenges faced by children living in the slum, he set up this primary school to help bring education closer to the slum kids.
Some of them are on water. It gets more difficult for their children from water to meet up with the time accurate of school here on land to resume to school 7 or 7:30. So I started this program with a big challenge.
A non-governmental organization, Slum to School, which has been assisting in providing education to Makoko slum kids since 2012, says over 400 pupils have benefited from its scholarship programs.
Our goal is to see how we can ensure that every child in these communities have the right supports, the right environments to become the best that they are meant to be.
Despite these efforts and that of the government in providing education for the Makoko slum kids, observers say much more needs to be done to enhance accessibility to education for the Makoko kids. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
The conditional cash transfer program of the federal government is a stipend paid to the poor and vulnerable to assist them in surviving and possibly start a micro business to sustain themselves. For some 19,000 households in Kano, this support couldn't have come at a better time. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports that they were paid the stipend for the month of June to July.
These are some of the beneficiaries in Medobi local government area of Kano State shrilling and thanking President Muhammadu Buhari after receiving their 2 months payment. The program cut across 15 local government areas in the state, and Medobi Center is the second largest with 1,445 beneficiaries. The payment process was characterized by screening of beneficiary through identification of community and tag number.
Today, payment is going on in Madobi, Kunche, and Sanyawa, and we have everything is moving well. There is no violence, no any offset from the community. So, as you can see outside, the beneficiaries are enjoying. They have received this monthly stipend. They are praying to the federal government and the state government for more support.
While addressing the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the money, the State Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Aisha Jafar Yusuf, says more dividend of democracy by Buhari administration is underway.
We want them to use this money to have something doing so that when they have profit, that can help them to assist their children in going to school.
The additional 25,000 which were enrolled will soon benefit from the program after validation. Muhammad Rabi, NTA News.
Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele advocates the adoption of risk-focused and rule-based regulatory framework as panacea to stabilize the banking sector, just as the Nigerian Stock Exchange continues its losing streak midweek. Let's now join Abolade Salami for details of these and more in our business news segment.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on the business news segment. The adoption of zero tolerance in regulatory framework for information rendition and enforcement of corporate governance principles in banking sector have helped stabilize the sector. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, represented by Olatunji Akinola of the Financial Market Department, CBN, said accountability in the implementation of banking laws contributed to the strengthening of financial markets to moderate liquidity in the economy.
In Nigeria, financial market development has been driven by several reforms over the years, in line with the evolution taking place in the finance landscape around the globe. We have progressed from an era of heavy regulation to the ongoing era that is driven primarily by deregulation, liberalization, and globalization.
Securities, and this is also happening in Nigeria, foreign holdings of CBN bills, the OMOs that are being issued. Now, the story is quite telling. If you look at fixed income, you've seen that you have about $2 billion in 2000 and, let's say, mid-2016. That has gone up to all the way to $16 billion.
The diversification drive of the federal government through industrialization remains key driver of Nigeria's economic growth. Minister of State for Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar, said government remains focused on improving the industry through its policies.
The present regime remains committed to the diversification of this economy through industrialization. The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment's vision is to promote economic growth, create jobs, and generate wealth. We will therefore continue to partner with the private sector by initiating and implementing robust sector-specific policies with a view to providing enabling and conducive environment for private sector to operate and thrive.
Great things will come, and it's only about time that by working with the mainstream policies that will catalyze industrial renaissance in Nigeria, MAN and AGI have a lot to do to make sure that quality standards and competitiveness will be guaranteed in integrating the single market between Ghana and Nigeria.
And now let's take you to the Nigerian Stock Exchange to see how stocks were traded midweek.
Midweek trading ended in the red, depreciating by 0.79% to close the all-share index in 32,454.03 basis points, with a volume of shares traded at 136 million valued at 1.4 billion naira, which changed hands in 2,801 deals, with 11.8 trillion as the market capitalization. Nestle, with 1 naira gain, led the table, followed by Dangote Sugar, while Dangote Cement, with 4 naira, 9 kobo loss, led the losers table, followed by Nigerian breweries, depreciating by 2 naira, 5 kobo per share.
Stock Market Reports concludes business news segment. News Extra continues shortly. Please stay with us.
Nigeria has again committed itself to operating her space science and technology within the approved international guidelines. This was at the 15th International Telecommunication Union's consultation meeting in Abuja. Chimdima Ndubisi reports that the meeting is being hosted for the first time in Africa.
Nigerian Communications Satellite, NIGCOMSAT, is the space science and technology run by Nigeria to provide telecommunication, broadcast and navigational overlay services. Our collaboration between NIGCOMSAT and the Defense Space Administration sees the provision of cyber and security services for national development. This makes the country a front-runner in space technology in Africa, explaining why Nigeria is hosting the 15th International Telecommunication Union consultation meeting, the first by an African country. Here, world space administrators operating or planning to operate systems in aeronautical radio navigation satellite services are discussing to determine and achieve the level of operation and protection of systems. Nigeria is quick to pledge allegiance to provisions of the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space.
The Nigerian Air Force will be glad to key into the navigation overlay service, especially for in-flight connectivity and performance-based navigation.
Our space programs is completely for non-aggression. This is because Nigeria is a responsible member of the international community that intends to pursue its legitimate ambition in space for peaceful purposes.
And we continue to support the ITU in its different operations and services to ensure that relevant technical and administrative parameters, as well as requirements for operational and planned radio navigation satellite systems, are well coordinated.
We are reversing this trend of relying only on natural resources by leveraging on ICTs to stimulate economic growth as well as sustain rapid socio-economic development with emphasis on jobs and wealth creation.
Already, the country has put in place enabling environment to facilitate tapping from information and communication technology-driven economy. In Abuja, Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
You're watching News Extra on the NTA. Sports update is next after the break. Join us again.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So they just my advice.
Even now, sir, if they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy, may they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. Now I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
You're welcome back. Now, the death toll in Indonesia's twin quake tsunami disaster increased to more than 1,400 as rescuers scrambled to locate survivors. Details of this are more with Obiageli Ugokwe on News Across the Globe.
We begin with developments on the African continent. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has appealed to authorities in regional states to address the ethnic tensions that have led to tens of thousands of people being displaced by violence. Mr. Ahmed was addressing a conference of the ruling EPRDF coalition, his first speech as a Prime Minister. In the meantime, the death toll in Indonesia's twin quake tsunami disaster has reached above 1,400, with rescue efforts still ongoing 5 days after the disaster struck.